At the gala, my husband seated my bestie at the head table. I walked out with a cold smile. At the door, the CEO slapped my husband across the face. The entire room exploded. I will never forget that night. Not because my heart was breaking, but because the moment that slap landed, the entire banquet hall went so silent you could hear the crystal chandeliers trembling. 320 guests. 60 tables. The most exclusive venue in Binching, Skydome Club. Every single dish. Prepared personally by a Michelin 3-star chef. And my husband? Founder and CEO of Xingheng Group, Shen Yanzhou. He stood dead center, handprint on his right cheek. Still lingered on that woman's face. My assistant. The right-hand woman I had personally mentored and promoted. Wenya. But that slap wasn't aimed at her face. It landed straight on my heart. The story starts 2 hours earlier. The Xingheng Group annual gala. Their 3rd IPO anniversary. I had started planning 3 months in advance. From venue selection, to the guest list, to the seating chart, every single detail. I personally approved. As co-founder of Xingheng Group. As Shen Yanzhou's wife. I, Jiang Mushing, have never been some trophy wife who pours tea and smiles. 3 years ago, Xingheng was a small company valued at barely 2 billion. Now it's a tech powerhouse worth over 100 billion. My business acumen and my network made that happen. I earned it. But tonight, when I walked out of the backstage dressing room, in my 12-centimeter stilettos, in my custom burgundy velvet gown, ready to take my seat at the head table, I saw my place card. It wasn't on Shen Yanzhou's right. It was shoved in the farthest corner, right next to the restroom. And the seat on Shen Yanzhou's right? It bore 2 words in bold print, Wenya. My eyes swept across the entire head table. Shen Yanzhou's mother sat to his left. That's the elder's seat. Fine. Reasonable. Wenya sat to his right. That was my seat. And further down, Shen Yanzhou's uncles. And Xingheng's core shareholders. And me? Jiang Mushing, the 2nd largest shareholder of Xingheng. 15% stake. Banished to the edge of the table, practically off it. I didn't explode. Not yet. I just stood there. My gaze calm as it swept across every face in that room. Some were whispering. Some shot me pitying looks. Most just lowered their heads and pretended they saw nothing. I saw Shen Yanzhou's mother. My mother-in-law, Madame Zhou Yulan. She was looking at me with this subtle, smug little smile. Like she was saying, see? In this family, you'll always be the outsider. My phone buzzed inside my clutch. A message from my mom. Mushing. Let Dad see you on cam. He keeps asking about you. Because I knew what my dad was seeing right now. Was me, sitting in the corner. If he saw that, what would he think? Once ruled business world. What would he make of his daughter's situation now? Jiang Group. 20 years ago, in Binching. A top 3 real estate empire. At its peak. Dad sold at peak, $30 billion. He liquidated most of the assets. The trust fund he left me alone was worth 800 million. I never needed Shen Yanzhou to survive. I chose to fight beside him because I loved him. But love should never be an excuse for being trampled. Shen Yanzhou finally noticed me. He looked up from the clinking glasses and shareholder chatter. And glanced my way, his eyes cold. Like he was looking at a stranger. There you are. Sit. He didn't even stand. Just tilted his chin toward a seat in the corner. Wenya shifted beside him. And gave me a sweet, demure little smile. Mushing, your dress is so beautiful tonight. There wasn't a trace of guilt on her face. Of course there wasn't. Because she knew the seating change had been ordered by Shen Yanzhou himself. I didn't sit. I gathered up my skirt and walked, step by step, toward the center of the head table. My heels clicking against the polished marble floor. Each step a countdown. Yanzhou, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was enough to quiet the nearby tables. This seat. Who arranged it? Shen Yanzhou frowned. A flicker of irritation in his eyes. Admin arranged it. It's just a seat. Drop it. Admin arranged it, I repeated. My lips curling into a smile with no warmth. Then let me tell you right now, admin got it wrong. I am Xinghing's second largest shareholder. I hold 15%. Miss Wenya is your executive assistant. She holds 0 shares. By the most basic principles of corporate governance, my seat should not be to her right. Wenya's face flushed slightly. She lowered her head. Sister Mushing, I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I shouldn't be sitting here. I'll move right away. No, you don't need to move. Shen Yanzhou grabbed Wenya's wrist. He looked up at me, irritation completely undisguised in his eyes. Jiang Mushing. Today is a company celebration. Can you not make a scene here? Wenya is tonight's host. She's sitting here. Don't overreact. Trivial? He called my seat, my dignity as his wife. And co-founder, trivial. I looked into his eyes. Those eyes I knew so well. He whispered love nightly. Promising to protect me for a lifetime. But now those eyes held only coldness and impatience. Like a fed-up father. Fine, I just laughed. Then I won't disturb you too. I turned around. And walked toward the ballroom doors. Behind me, I heard Zhou Yulan's voice. Not too loud, not too soft, just loud enough for me to catch. See? I told you she doesn't know how to act in public. Yanzhou built this company into what it is. She just flaunts status. What have I ever contributed? I almost laughed out loud. The core technology behind Xinghing Group's predecessor. The smart system saved us. I built that with my team, working non-stop for 10 whole months. His first big funding roadshow. Every business plan and financial model in it. I revised 17 times before finalizing. When the company faced malicious short selling right before the IPO, I mobilized the Jiang family's network. 3-day market support. Stabilizing the stock price, and all of that, in the mouths of Shen Yanzhou and his family. Now they say she's useless. The cold air in the hallway hit me in the face. Carrying a biting clarity, I stood at the entrance. And took a deep breath. Just as I was about to leave, behind me, came a sudden, deafening sound. Smack. It was so loud. It was as if someone had thrown every ounce of strength into it. The music in the ballroom, the chatter, the clinking of glasses. All of it vanished in an instant. I stopped in my tracks. Not out of curiosity, but because the sound came from the head table. I slowly turned around. Through the half-open door, I saw a scene I would never forget for the rest of my life. Shen Yanzhou's right hand. His eyes burned with barely contained fury, and standing before him was a middle-aged man in a black suit. I knew him. He was Xinghing's largest institutional shareholder. The founder of Dinghui Capital, Pei Yanji. Pei Yanji stood over 1.90 meters. A full half-head taller than Shen Yanzhou. He stood there, looking down at Shen Yanzhou. His expression as calm as still water. President Shen. Pei Yanji's voice wasn't loud. But in the deathly silent banquet hall, every word cut through the air like a blade. That slap was for President Jiang. The entire hall froze. 320 guests. Not a single person dared make a sound. Pei Yanji slowly withdrew his hand. Straightened his cuff. His tone as casual as if discussing the weather. Ms. Jiang Mushing is not only Xinghing's co-founder, but also Dinghui Capital's most important strategic partner. You seated her in the corner. Is that disrespecting me, Pei, or disrespecting your largest shareholder? Shen Yanzhou's face shifted between pale and purple, like a man stripped naked in public. Wenya clutched her face. Tears streaming down in heavy drops, her body trembling. She tried to speak, her lips quivering for what felt like forever, only managing to squeeze out a few words. President Pei. I didn't mean to. Shut up. Pei Yanji didn't even glance at her. His voice cold as ice shards. This is not your place to speak. I stood outside the door, watching it all. No satisfaction in my heart. Only a strange sense of calm. Pei Yanji had defended my honor. But this vindication was never his to claim. I turned and stepped into the elevator. The moment the doors closed, I saw Shenyanzhou burst through the banquet hall doors. Panic written all over his face, shouting something. But the elevator doors had already shut. His voice sealed outside. Just like in these 6 years of marriage. He had sealed out every word I ever spoke. My phone buzzed. A message from Shenyanzhou. Where are you? Come back. I didn't reply. The second one. Jiang Mushing, what exactly do you want? It was just a seat. Did you have to make everyone lose face? The third one. His tone softened a little. Mushing, come back. Let's talk properly. The fourth one. What's going on between you and Pei Yanji? Your relationship? Rule 5. Where are you? Phone and bag, leaned back. I closed my eyes. 6 years ago. When I married Shenyanzhou. My father asked me, are you sure he truly loves you? Or is he just after your money and connections? I said. He doesn't need my money. He has his own career. Dad paused. Good. But remember. A daughter of the Jiang family never needs to depend on anyone. I remembered those words. But it still took me 6 years. To grasp his meaning. Elevator hit lobby. Through lobby, sea-scented night wind. Straight into my face. October in Binching already had a chill to it. Silk gown, cold made me shiver. A black Maybach glided silently to a stop in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing Pei Yanji's cold, chiseled face. At some point, he had already left the banquet hall. Jacket on arm, tie loosened too. Exposing a sharply defined collarbone. Get in. Dressed like that, you'll freeze. I looked at him. Pei Yanji. Founder of Dinghui Capital. Assets under management. Exceeding 200 billion. We had known each other for 5 years. Collaborated countless times. He had always been my most trusted business partner. Always kept distance. President Pei. I said. You shouldn't have slapped him just now. Why not? Because that was my person to hit. Pei Yanji looked at me. The corner of his mouth curving slightly. It wasn't quite a smile. More like a sign of approval. Then next time, you hit him yourself. Now get in the car. Your parents just called me. Can't reach you, worried. Got in car. The moment the door closed, my phone vibrated again. This time, it wasn't Shenyanzhou. It was my mother. Mushing, are you okay? Mom anxious, we watched live. Why were you sitting in the corner? Who is that woman with the surname Wen? What's going on with Yanzhou? Mom, I'm fine. I said. I'll explain when I get home. I hung up. I leaned back in the seat, gazing at the glittering nightscape of Binching through the window. I knew this city too well. Every street, every building. Had witnessed both my glory and my humiliation. Pei Yanji, I suddenly spoke. Said I'm Dinghui's key partner. Was that true, or just something you said to help me save face? Pei Yanji glanced over at me. Something flickered in those bottomless eyes. Amusement. Jiang Mushing, do you really think I'd slap the chairman of Xingheng Group? Just for show? I thought about it and said. Fair enough. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. My office. Pei Yanji said, there's a project. Private talk. Not about Xingheng. Project? One that'll make some regret everything. The car pulled up outside my parents' villa. I pushed the door open. Pei Yanji's voice came from behind me. Jiang Mushing. I turned back. You're far stronger than you think, he said. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I shut the car door and walked inside. The lights were still on in the house. My mom and dad were both in the living room. The TV was paused on the Xingheng annual Gala live stream. When my dad saw me come in, he stood up. He didn't say a word. He just walked over and pulled me into a tight hug. His arms? Same as they were 20 years ago. Steady. Warm. With that faint scent of tobacco. Dad, I said. I think I'm getting a divorce. His hand paused for a second. Then he let go and looked at me. No surprise in his eyes. Only heartache. If you've made up your mind, then do it, he said. A daughter of the Jiang family is still a daughter of the Jiang family, divorced or not. My mom's eyes went red beside him, but she didn't cry. She just said, that one woman. The first time I laid eyes on her, I knew she was bad news. I laughed. And as I laughed, my eyes welled up. Not from sadness. Because I finally knew exactly which road I was meant to walk. That night, I lay in bed, tossing and turning. On my phone, Shenyanzhou's messages kept popping up one after another. From interrogation to begging. From begging to threats. From threats to playing the victim. He pulled every trick I could possibly think of. The latest one read, mushing. When you resigned. Happy now? Come home. Let's make this work. When you resigned. I almost laughed out loud. Of course she resigned. After the scene today. That slap from Pei was a public announcement. Anyone standing with Wenya is making an enemy of Dinghui capital. Wenya may be dense, but she knows she can't survive at this company anymore. Not wrong, just caught. Phone off, stared at ceiling. 6 years. From heiress with 800M trust fund. To a Mrs. Shen who couldn't even hold on to a seat at the head table. Not because I got weaker, because I believed in love too much. Too much in the words that came out of that man's mouth. I'll protect you for the rest of your life. But here's the reality. When you yield your self-defense power, you've already lost. I won't lose again. The next morning, I changed into a sharply tailored black suit. I put on clean, understated makeup, and I arrived at Pei Ying's office right on time. The Dinghui capital office. It's atop Binqing's landmark Yunding Tower. The entire floor is floor-to-ceiling glass, overlooking the entire coastline of Binqing. Pei Ying was already waiting for me. He was wearing a dark gray shirt today, with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, exposing his solid forearms. His desk was covered in documents, but the one on top had 4 characters written on the cover, Project Xinqing. Sit. He pointed to the chair across from him. Coffee or tea? Coffee. No sugar. Pei Ying raised an eyebrow. He poured a cup himself and handed it to me. Project Xinqing. I opened it. What's this? A dedicated investment fund targeting the smart IoT sector. Initial scale, 5 billion. Pei Ying leaned back in his executive chair, fingers interlaced. I want you to run it. I looked up at him. Because you're Binqing's only tech expert. Understands capital, and also has a grudge against Shenyanzhou. Is you. I didn't deny it. And besides. Pei Ying paused. That smart IoT operating system you built at Xinheng. The technical foundation was excellent. Such a shame. Shenyanzhou steered it in the wrong direction. If you're willing, we can use that technical roadmap to build a newer, more advanced, more open system. And take it to market. You're going head-to-head with Xinheng. Pei Ying corrected me. You are. I'm just the investor. I looked into his eyes, searching for any trace of calculation or exploitation. But I found nothing. There was only calm scrutiny in those eyes. Like a chess player studying the board. Cold. Rational. No excess emotion whatsoever. What are the terms? I asked. No terms. You bring the technology and management. I bring the money. 50-50 split. Too generous. It doesn't add up. Pei Ying smiled. A real smile this time, with a hint of admiration in it. Jiang mushing. Your clarity is your edge. True. It's odd. So I have one additional condition. Name it. Every decision on Project Xinqing, you must make independently. No one can influence my decisions. Including you. His tone shifted, turning serious. If you agree, you'll be the sole decision maker for Project Xinqing. I'll have no veto power over any of your calls. And likewise, no backing out now. I went quiet. The sea in Binqing glittered like shards of gold under the sun. In the distance, I could see the Xinheng Group headquarters. That glass curtain building was once my pride. Now it looks like a cold, concrete tombstone. I agree. I said it plainly. But I have one more condition. The first investment from Project Xinqing. I'm using it to buy up shares of Xinheng. Pei Ying's eyes lit up. Are you sure? I told him, he wants my seat. Then I'll show him exactly whose seat it really is. Pei Yanji extended his hand. I took it. His hand was large, his palm dry and warm, his grip steady, restrained. Pleasure doing business, President Jiang. Pleasure doing business, President Pei. Leaving Yending Tower, my phone started buzzing again. This time it wasn't Shin Yenzhou. It was an unknown number. I picked up. Jiang mushing. On the other end of the line came a woman's voice. Tearful. This is Wenya. Can I talk to you? I leaned against the car door, staring at the distant horizon. My voice was calm, like I was talking to a complete stranger. Miss Wen. I have nothing to say to you. Mushing, please. It wasn't me. Yenzhou made me sit there. Then your refusal must have been pretty weak. So weak nobody even heard it. Silence for 2 seconds on the line. Then Wenya's voice changed. The tears were gone. It turned sharp and venomous. Jiang mushing. You think you've won? Do you know what Yenzhou said to me last night? He said he's been sick of you for a long time. You're just the daughter of some washed-up entrepreneur. Besides that old Jiang family name, what else do you have? You can't even give him a child. What gives you the right to call yourself Mrs. Shen? My hand hesitated. A child. 6 years of marriage to Shin Yenzhou. And no children. Not because I didn't want them. Because Shin Yenzhou said. Company's busy. After IPO, we'll try. Then he said. Once business stabilizes. Then he said, give it 3 more years. Year after year, I waited from 24 to 30. Later, I learned why he avoided kids. Not busy. A child made divorce harder. That's all. I said Wenya, and she froze. She probably never expected me to sound so calm. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Oh, and Ms. Wen? There's something you might not know. The core code for Xingheng Group's smart IoT operating system. I wrote 70% of it myself. The copyright to that code belongs to me, not Xingheng. The other end of the line went completely silent, so I continued. If I sue Xingheng for infringement, Shin Yenzhou would owe me at least 2 billion. I hung up, opened the car door, and slid into the driver's seat. Engine turned, I saw my reflection in the mirror. There was no anger on that face. No grief. Only a cold, hard certainty. The show was just getting started. For the next 2 weeks, I didn't take a single call from Shin Yenzhou. I skipped Yunwan, stayed at my parents'. I left early and came home late every day. In the temporary office Dinghui Capital arranged for me. I threw myself into prepping Project Xinsheng. Week 1. I finished the business plan and the fundraising strategy. Pei Yanji gave me 5 billion in startup capital. But I needed way more than that. I spent 3 days. Contacted 17 institutes. Overraised to 12 billion. Week 2, I started building the tech team. I contacted 6 of my old people from my Xingheng days. All top-tier engineers in the industry. Under Shin Yenzhou, they were exhausted and miserable. Hearing I left, 5 of them agreed on the spot to come with me. Only one hesitated. His name was Gu Shen. Back at Xingheng, he'd been the deputy technical director. The number 2 man behind the entire smart IoT operating system. Sis mushing. His voice over the phone was full of hesitation. It's not that I don't want to follow you. It's Shin, he's got something on me. What leverage? Gu Shen paused, then said. Last year, on a company project bid. Shin had me make certain adjustments in the technical proposal. If it ever got out, I could go to prison. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Shin Yenzhou, that man, always keeps a backup plan. He uses people. He doesn't just use your talent, he uses your dirt. He controls everyone, so no one dares betray him. Did you rewrite that proposal? Dare not leave. You changed that technical proposal. Or did he make you do it? He told me to change it, but I approved it. Got proof? Gu Shen went quiet for a moment, then said, yes. I had the foresight to record it back then. Send me the recording. I'll handle it. You don't need to be scared. Shenyanzhou can't touch you. After hanging up, I sat in my office, staring at the skyline, lost in thought. Shenyanzhou's greatest skill isn't tech or capital, it's manipulating people. He knows exactly how to make everyone owe him favors. Owe him money. When he does you a kindness, you think he genuinely cares. But the moment he turns on you, you realize those favors were shackles all along. I was once one of those shackles. 6 years ago, he married me. Not just because he loved me, mostly due to the Jiang family's influence in Bincheng. Even though Jiang Group has since pivoted, my father's decades of business relationships were exactly what Shenyanzhou dreamed of having. He got what he wanted. And me? I got a hard lesson. 2 weeks later, one evening, I got a call from Shenyanzhou's mother, Zhou Yulan. Mushing, her voice was dripping with sweetness. A complete shift from the Gala night. We made dumplings at home tonight. Why don't you come back and have dinner with us? Yanzhou's been so clueless lately. I already scolded him for it. Scolded him? At the Gala? When I was seated in the corner in front of hundreds of people. She stayed silent then. Auntie, I changed my address. No longer calling her mom. Thanks, but I have plans tonight. So I won't be able to make it. There was a pause on the other end. Then Zhou Yulan's voice turned ice cold. Jiang Mushing. What kind of attitude is that? I called you personally. And you're going to play hard to get? Do you have any idea how much weight Yanzhou has lost these past few days? He's running himself ragged for this family, and you. You're off fooling around with Pei Yanji. The whole city is gossiping about you too. Fooling around? I couldn't help but laugh. Auntie, Mr. Pei and I are purely business. If you think that's fooling around, then I suggest you start by checking your son's phone and see what exactly is going on between him and Miss Wen. And one more thing, I cut her off. From today on, please, don't call me again. What's going on between me and Shenyanzhou is our business. I'm hanging up now. Block this number too. By late October, the weather in Bincheng had turned cold. The fundraising for Project Xinqing was complete. All 12 billion in capital had come through. The tech team was also basically assembled. All 7 core engineers, including Gu Shen, were on board. We'd rented an entire floor. Bincheng High-Tech Park, still under renovation. But the office equipment was already set up. I stood in the empty office, looking at the project timeline on the wall. A long-lost sense of groundedness settled in my chest. This was my own venture, not an appendage of anyone else. Not some duty I owed as someone's wife. It was mine. Jiang Mushing's alone. My phone buzzed. A message from Pei Yanji. Free tonight? I want you to meet someone. Who? Who can make you 2B? I replied, okay. 7 p.m. Pei Yanji's car pulled up downstairs from my parents' place. He'd switched to a low-key black Audi today, wearing a casual navy sweater and khaki pants. He didn't look like a 200B fund manager. More like an ordinary guy out for a weekend stroll. Get in. He rolled down the window and smiled at me. Once I was inside, he grabbed a file from the seat and handed it over. Take a look. I opened the envelope. Inside was an equity transfer agreement. The asset being transferred, 8% of Xinheng Group shares. My pupils contracted sharply. I knew Xinheng's ownership structure inside and out. Pei Yanji said, you're holding 15%. Shenyanzhou has 30%. The other institutional and individual shareholders combined hold 55%. If you can get another 6, combined with your 15, you'd be the second largest shareholder. If you can get more than 10, plus support from some minority shareholders, you could even challenge Shenyanzhou for control. Whose 8% is this? I asked. Hingtong Capital's. They're tight on cash flow lately and want out. Already negotiated. Price is 15% lower. 15% lower, but with one condition, they only accept a direct acquisition by you personally. No institutional proxies. I see. Hingtong Capital's boss was Dad's old friend for decades. No wonder they discounted. Not because of Pei Yanji's face, but because of the Jiang family's ties. This 8%. What's the market value? Let me ask. Based on today's closing price, around 1.5 billion. My trust fund has 800 million. But that 800 million is liquid assets. Most of it is locked up in various investment products. Cash I can move in the short term? No more than 200 million. I can lend it to you. Payenji said. As if he'd seen right through me. Interest at the banks. Commercial lending rate. No collateral. No guarantee. Pay me back whenever you have it. I looked at him. For a long time without speaking. Payenji, why are you so good to me? He leaned back against the driver's seat, turning his head to look at me. The light in the car was dim, but his eyes shone unnaturally bright. Jiang Mushing, I've known you for 5 years, he said. 5 years ago, you came to me for funding with Xingheng's business plan. Back then, Xingheng was valued at only 2 billion. You stood in front of me in a wrinkled white shirt, eyes bloodshot from pulling all-nighters. But your gaze was so sharp. You told me, Mr. Pei, this project can reach 100 billion in market value. He paused. I didn't believe it then. But that look in your eyes moved me. So I invested. And Xingheng really did hit 100 billion. More than half of that was your doing. But Shen Yanzhou took all the credit for himself. When people talk about Xingheng, they only know Shen Yanzhou. Nobody knows Jiang Mushing. It pisses me off for you. He turned his head, gazing out at the night. His tone was flat, like he was stating a fact. So I'm helping you. Not because I'm good to you. It's because you deserve it. You deserve a stage far bigger than being Mrs. Shen. The car fell silent for a long while. I lowered my head. Staring at the contract, my fingertips burned. Fine, I said. I'll take the 8%. Payenji smiled. Faint. But real. Come on. Let's go meet old Joe from Hingtong. He's got the seals ready. That night, I signed the equity transfer agreement. 8% of Xingheng shares, priced at 1.47 billion. I used 200 million in cash, plus the bridge loan from Payenji. To close the deal, once the transaction was completed, my Xingheng stake reached 23%. Still 7 points away from Shen Yanzhou's 30%. But that's not my endgame. To strip Shen Yanzhou of everything. In early November, Xingheng Group's stock price fluctuations started. Media reported that Xingheng's core tech team had resigned en masse. Then, Xingheng's top holder, Dinghui Capital, was offloading its shares. Although Dinghui Capital's actual holdings weren't that large, markets fear capital moves. News broke. Xingheng's stock plummeted 12%. Shen Yanzhou couldn't sit still anymore. He started frantically calling me. I didn't answer. He switched numbers, bombarding me non-stop. I blocked every single one. Finally, he showed up at my parents' front door. That evening, back from work, my car barely stopped. He stood at the villa gate. Shen Yanzhou had lost a lot of weight. Suit hung loose, eyes sunken. Stubble shadowed his jaw, aged 5 years. But the cunning and calculation in those eyes hadn't dimmed one bit. Mu Sheng. When he saw me, he walked over quickly. Let's talk. I got out of the car and stood by the door. I didn't step forward. Talk about what? About us. He reached out to grab my arm. I sidestepped and avoided him. His hand froze in midair. The expression on his face shifted from pleading to barely suppressed rage. Jiang Musheng, what exactly do you want? Over 1 seat? You're going to destroy our 6-year marriage? 1 seat. I repeated the words and laughed. Shen Yanzhou, you think I left you because of 1 seat? Then what was it? Because of Wenya? She already resigned. What more do you want? Slap her for your satisfaction? I stared. Sudden fatigue, not body, but soul. So tired I couldn't even summon the energy to be angry. Shen Yanzhou, do you remember? 3 years pre-IPO, 3 sleepless nights. Helping you revise the prospectus? He paused. It was you. Remember malicious shorts 2 years ago? I rallied 5 backers in 3 days. His face changed. That was you too. Do you remember? Xinghing's core technology, that smart IoT operating system? Who led the team for 10 months? Wrote 100,000 code lines? He paused. Me. I said it. It was me, Jiang Muxing. Not Wenya. Not your admin department. Not any of your subordinates. Me. But you never once acknowledged it. In every public setting, you claimed Xinghing's success was your achievement alone. You erased my name. You erased my name from the core RD team list. You moved my desk from the RD center to the admin building. You forced me out of core business. Until you finally turned me into just a trophy wife who shows up at the annual gala. My voice wasn't loud, but every word landed like a hammer. Shenyanzhou, you didn't lose me over a seat. You spent 6 years slowly pushing me away. Shenyanzhou stood frozen in place. His face went from pale to greenish, lips trembling for a long moment, before he managed to choke out one sentence. Mushing. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Just give me one chance. I'll change. How will you change? I asked. Can you give me back the last 6 years? Can you give me back my lost time, opportunities, and career? Can you? He opened his mouth but no words came out. You can't. That's why I'm not giving you a chance either, I said. I turned around and punched in the code on the iron gate. Mushing. Shenyanzhou's voice came from behind me, trembling desperately. So heartless? 6 years of us, and you just walk away? My hand stopped on the door handle. Shenyanzhou, you're talking about us? I turned back and looked him in the eye. Then answer me this. What exactly is going on between you and Wenya? His expression froze for a second. Just 1 second. But I saw it. There's nothing between us, he said. Voice steady. She's just my assistant. Assistant? I laughed. Does an assistant know exactly where you keep your stomach medicine? Does an assistant test the water temperature for you? Does an assistant touch your teacup with the back of her hand? Jiang Mushing. His voice suddenly turned ice cold. I don't need to investigate you. Your annual gala was live-streamed to the entire internet. Millions of people saw it. What do you think they're thinking? Shenyanzhou's face went completely white. I opened the gate, his voice trailed. No longer pleading this time, but a threat so cold it cut to the bone. Jiang Mushing, think carefully. If you divorce me, you won't get a single cent. You signed the prenup. Xinghing shares our marital property, but I control the company. Fight to the end. I paused. Didn't turn around. Shenyanzhou, you're forgetting one thing. What? Xinghing's core technology. The rights are under my name. If I sue you for infringement, you'll owe me at least 2 billion. Complete silence behind me. Also, the Hingtong stake. I've already closed the deal. Right now, I hold 23% of Xinghing Group. That's only 7 points behind him. I walked back into the house. The iron gate slammed shut behind me. That night, neither my dad nor my mom asked what had happened. My mom just quietly set a bowl of hot soup in front of me. Dad watched TV news with volume low. Ate, showered, then opened my laptop. There was a new email in my inbox. The sender was Pei Yanji. Project Xinghing's first targets are set. Meetings tomorrow at 10. You'll lead. Got it. I shut the laptop, lay on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. The thought of divorce didn't start the night of the annual gala. It was planted like a seed 2 years ago. 2 years ago, at the first board meeting after Xinghing's IPO, Shenyanzhou proposed that my position be changed from executive vice president to brand ambassador. He said, Mushing has a great image. She's perfect for external publicity. Internal management is for professionals. He said women suit trophy wife roles. At that board meeting, I didn't object, because I wanted to save his face. I wanted to protect his authority in front of everyone. But that night, I sat alone in the study for so long that the sky turned bright. From that day on, I started laying my plans in secret. I registered the copyright for the core technology code. under my own name. I started compiling every record of Shinyenjo's illegal operations in the company. I started quietly reaching out to small shareholders unhappy with Shin. I spent 1 year preparing. I spent 1 year waiting. And the annual gala was just the trigger that made me resolve to set everything ablaze. The next morning, I showed up at Dinghui Capital's conference room right on time. Xinqing's first batch had 7 projects, covering smart hardware, AI chips, IoT security, edge computing, and several other specialized sectors. The review meeting lasted a full 4 hours. I analyzed each project's technical roadmap, market prospects, team background, and valuation reasonableness one by one. 4 projects made the first investment round. After the meeting, Pei called me over. Dinner tonight, Binching Tech Gala. Are you going? What would I do there? I asked. The tech circle in Binching needs to get to know you again. Pei said. Not as Mrs. Shen, but as Jiang Mushing. I thought it over and said, fine. 7 p.m. Binching Convention Center, Tech Gala. The room was packed with most of Binching's tech elite. From internet giants to startup founders. From top-tier investors to academic heavyweights. Just about everyone with a name worth knowing was there. I wore a simple black gown. Low bun, pearl earrings. My makeup was clean and sharp. No extra accessories. And this dress? It wasn't high-end couture from some big luxury house. Just an independent label by a domestic designer. But it made me look like a drawn sword. Sharp and restrained. Pei walked beside me, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit. His cufflinks were understated platinum. His whole presence radiated a cold, keep-your-distance intensity. The moment we stepped into the ballroom, nearly every pair of eyes turned our way. Whispers rippled through the crowd. That's Jiang Mushing, the Xinhing boss's wife. I heard she and Shinyenjo had a falling out, and now she's with Pei. Seriously? Pei is famous for being ice-cold around women. What do you know? This is a power couple move. Jiang Mushing was always the technical core of Xinheng. Shinyenjo sidelining her is like cutting off his own legs. I heard every word. But I didn't care. Pei led me to the head table, pulled out my chair and motioned for me to sit. This time, my seat was dead center, at Pei right hand. Halfway through the dinner, an uninvited guest appeared. Shinyenjo. He was dressed in a silver-gray suit. His hair was immaculately styled, and he wore a polished smile. But the cold calculation lurking in his eyes couldn't fool me. He walked straight to our table and extended his hand toward Pei. President Pei. It's been a while. Pei didn't take his hand. He only nodded, his tone distant. President Shen. Shinyenjo's hand froze midair. And that smile on his face nearly cracked. He withdrew his hand. His voice dropped low. Mushing. Can we talk privately? No, I said. His face finally shifted. Jiang Mushing, don't push it. I'm pushing it? I set down my glass and stood up. I looked him dead in the eye. Shinyenjo, wasn't that pushing it? You flirting with Wenye in front of me. Was that not pushing it? When you pushed me out of the company's core business. Was that not pushing it? The room slowly went quiet. Everyone was watching us. Shinyenjo's face went pale and red by turns. He opened his mouth to say something, but another voice cut him off. Mr. Shen. Pei stood up, calmly positioning himself in front of me. This is a tech association dinner, not the place for your personal mess. If there's nothing else, please go back to your seat. Shinyenjo glared at Pei. The hatred in his eyes was about to spill over. Pei, stay out of my business. Jiang Mushing is my business partner. Pei tone was as calm as if he were talking about the weather. Her business is my business. Shinyenjo's gaze flicked back and forth between us. Then he laughed. A cold, nasty laugh. Business partner. Fast work, new sugar daddy already? I wasn't angry. I just looked at him. And suddenly he seemed so pathetic. A man who, even now, still thinks a woman can only survive on a man's back. His vision is just that small. Shinyenjo. I said, you believe me or not, I don't need anyone's backing to make you lose. Completely. He froze. I turned to Peiyenji and said, Mr. Pei, let's go. Peiyenji nodded, picked up my bag, and followed me out of the banquet hall. Behind us, Shinyenjo stood rooted to the spot, his face ashen. After the dinner, Peiyenji drove me home. The car stopped in front of the villa. I didn't get out right away. Peiyenji, I said. Thank you for today. Don't thank me. He leaned back in the driver's seat and looked at me. You handled it just fine on your own today. I just stood there. I didn't do anything. You standing there was enough. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Jiang Mushing, have you ever wondered why Shinyenjo ended up this way? Because he was too cocky. I said. He thought I could never leave him. And? I thought for a moment before answering. Because he never truly understood who I am. Peiyenji nodded. You know what I admire most about you? You always know exactly what you want. I looked at him and suddenly laughed. And what about you? Do you know what you want? Peiyenji didn't answer. He just looked at me with those deep, unfathomable eyes. An emotion I couldn't read. After a long silence, he spoke. I do. But I'm still waiting. For what? For the right moment. He didn't say anything else. And I didn't push. I opened the car door and walked into the house. The next day, Shinyenjo officially filed for divorce in court. His demands were simple. Divorce. Jiang Muxing is not entitled to any Xingheng Group shares. All Xingheng shares under Jiang Muxing's name must be transferred to Shinyenjo at the original investment price. The original investment price? Back when I bought into Xingheng, the company was valued at only 2 billion. I invested 30 million and got 15%. Now, Xingheng has a market cap of 120 billion. My 23% stake is worth over 27.5 billion. And he wants me to sell it to him for 30 million. When I saw the lawsuit, I laughed. Not out of anger. I genuinely found it funny. Shinyenjo is a man whose greed borders on naivety. He thinks he's still the man in control of everything. He thinks I'll swallow my pride like before. He thinks the law belongs to his family. He has no idea that I'm not the same Jiang Muxing anymore. Or rather, he never actually knew the real Jiang Muxing at all. I hired the best divorce attorney in Bincheng, Fang Yuanzhou. He came through Peiyenji. 15 years in practice. Over 100 divorce cases. Involving control of publicly traded companies. Win rate above 90%. Fang Yuanzhou finished reading Shinyenjo's complaint and said only one thing. He's insane. He's not insane. I said. He's just arrogant enough to think a prenup can strip you of your legal property rights. Fang Yuanzhou pushed up his glasses. At least 5 clauses in this prenup blatantly violate mandatory provisions of the marriage law. In court, it's basically worthless. So how much can I actually get? Fang Yuanzhou pulls out a calculator. He taps away at it, then looks up at me. A conservative estimate, half of Xingheng's shares. Which means 11.5% of the shares under your name. Worth around 14 billion. Also, the real estate vehicle financial products you jointly purchased after marriage. Combined, roughly another 1.5 billion. Total valuation around 15.5 billion. 15.5 billion. Shinyenjo thought he could get rid of me with 30 million. But the law says what I'm owed is 15.5 billion. And that's not even the most important part. Fang Yuanzhou continues. Most importantly, the core technology copyright of Xingheng. You said you wrote all that code yourself. Do you have proof? I do. Every single line has a commit record, with timestamps and author signatures. And on top of that, I also have the testimony of all the members of the team at the time, plus a third-party technical appraisal report. Fang Yuanzhou's eyes lit up. Then this isn't just about divorce anymore. If you can prove Xingheng's core technology is your personal intellectual property, and not work for hire. You can file a copyright infringement claim against Xingheng. According to the toll rate of similar technology authorization in the industry, the damages would be at least 2 to 3 billion. 2 to 3 billion. On top of the 15.5 billion from the divorce settlement. The price Xinyanzhou would have to pay, close to the total market capitalization of 0.2 billion and Xingheng Group, only 120 billion. That's like carving out 1/6 of Xingheng's flesh. Fang Yuanzhou looks at me. A hint of admiration in his eyes. Ms. Jiang, I've handled plenty of divorce cases. But someone like you, someone who prepared her evidence this thoroughly in advance. You're the first. I'm not preparing for a divorce, I say. I'm preparing for war. Late November. Project Xinqing officially launches. Our first product is a smart IoT hub device designed for home environments. Internal codename, Tianshu. The core technology behind this device is based on the operating system I developed during my time at Xingheng, but fully upgraded and restructured. Gushin's tech team finished the prototype in just 3 weeks. Test results show Tianshu's performance metrics are 40% higher than Xingheng's comparable products. Power consumption reduces 30% and compatibility and openness, it completely crushes Xingheng's closed ecosystem. In early December, we were at the Beijing International Convention and Exhibition Center. We officially unveiled Project Xinqing to the public. Over 300 media outlets showed up on launch day. And more than 1,000 guests. I stood center stage. Behind me was a massive LED screen. It was running a live demo of Tianshu. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jiang Mushing, I said. Founder of Project Xinqing. The flashes from the cameras below lit up the entire room. 6 years ago, I helped build Xingheng Group. 3 years ago, I led the development of Xingheng's core technology. But 2 years ago, I was pushed out of the company's core business. Because my image was better suited for brand marketing. Not for tech. The room went dead silent. Today, I'm not standing here to accuse anyone. I'm here to prove one thing. Technology doesn't lie. The market doesn't lie. And a woman's worth has never needed anyone else to define it. On the big screen, the Tianshu technical demo video started playing. Gasps of amazement rippled through the crowd. After the launch event, my phone was bombarded with so many messages it almost crashed. One of them was from Xinyanzhou. Ruthless. I stared 2 seconds. Then deleted it. No reply. Over the next month, Project Xinqing moved 3 times faster than expected. The Tianshu prototype passed every technical test. We started preparing for mass production. The first batch of orders. 7 deals, worth 1.5 billion. Xinqing's second round. Oversubscribed, target raised from 12B to 20 billion. Meanwhile, over at Xingheng, things went downhill fast. With the launch of Tianshu, markets rethink Xingheng's tech. Multiple brokerages downgraded Xingheng's rating, citing the loss of core technical talent and lack of innovation. Xingheng's stock price, within 2 weeks after the launch, dropped from 120 yuan to 81 yuan. Market value evaporated by more than 40 billion. Xinyanzhou panicked. He started frantically dumping his Xingheng shares, trying to cash out and shore up liquidity. But his sell-off only fueled the market panic further. The stock kept falling, creating a vicious cycle. By the end of December, Xingheng's stock had dropped to 52 yuan. Market value was only half of its peak. And I bought low, quietly via accounts, picking up another 5% of Xingheng stock. Now the Xingheng shares under my name reached 28%. Only 2 points behind Xinyanzhou's 30%. On New Year's Day, I went back to my parents' place for dinner. My mom cooked a full table of dishes. Dad opened saved Maotai. At dinner, they didn't ask me about work. They didn't ask me about the divorce either. Just like always, they chatted trivia. Mom did dishes. My dad called me into his study. From the drawer, he handed me an envelope. What's this? Open it. I opened the envelope. Inside was an equity transfer agreement. The transfer target: 3% of Xingheng Group shares held by Jiang Family Holdings. I froze. Dad, when did you buy Xingheng stock? I didn't buy it. Dad lit a cigarette. Back when you married Shen Yanzhou. I went privately to old Zhou at Hingtong and had him hold 3% of Xingheng shares on my behalf. Back then, Xingheng unlisted, cheap. Under 100 M. He blew out a stream of smoke. It slowly dispersed under the light. I thought to myself then, just in case, one day, you got wronged in this marriage, this 3% would be your last card to play. My eyes suddenly went red. Don't cry. My dad waved his hand. A daughter of the Jiang family doesn't cry. This 3%, plus the 28% in your hands, makes 31%. The 30% Shen Yanzhou holds is no longer enough. 31%. I had surpassed Shen Yanzhou. From today on, I am the largest shareholder of Xingheng Group. On the first business day after the New Year holiday, I submitted a proposal to the Xingheng Group Board of Directors to convene an extraordinary general meeting. I demanded a full board re-election. According to the company charter, any shareholder holding more than 10% has the right to propose an extraordinary general meeting. I hold 31%. The board had no right to reject this proposal. When Shen Yanzhou received the notice, I was in the Project Xinqing office, in a meeting with my team. My phone vibrated endlessly. All calls from him. I didn't pick up. At 7 p.m., I walked out of the company entrance. I saw a black Maybach parked by the curb. The window rolled down. Shen Yanzhou sat in the back seat. His face as dark as the sky before a storm. Get in, he said. I didn't move. Jiang mushing. What exactly do you want? His voice was low, but every word sounded like it was forced through gritted teeth. Destroy Xingheng? No intention. I said, I'm just taking back what belongs to me. Yours? He pushed the door open and stepped out. He stood right in front of me, towering over me. I built Xingheng with my own hands. You're just a technician. What gives you the right to say Xingheng is yours? I'm a technician. I met his gaze, not backing down an inch. But without this technician, you wouldn't have gotten your first round of funding, Shen Yanzhou. You can disrespect me all you want, but you can't change the facts. His fists clenched, knuckles turning white. You'd better not pull anything at the emergency shareholders meeting, he said through gritted teeth, knowing my board connections. Even if you become the largest shareholder, you'll never get control. Is that so? I smiled. Then let's see about that. I turned, opened the car door, got into my own car. The engine started. In the rearview mirror, Shen Yanzhou stood there, frozen like a statue. The emergency shareholders meeting was set for January 15th. In the 2 weeks before that, I worked non-stop, meeting every institutional shareholder and individual shareholder of Xingheng. I used data, facts, and a vision for the future. I told them, if Shen Yanzhou stays at the helm, Xingheng has only two paths: either get crushed by Project Xinqing, or get acquired in a hostile takeover as the stock keeps falling. But with new management, Xingheng and Project Xinqing could form a strategic alliance and grow the market together. My lobbying worked better than expected. By the evening of January 14th, I had secured support from shareholders representing 42%, and my own 31%, and total support reached 73%. Shen Yanzhou was finished. January 15th. The urgent shareholders meeting convened at Xingheng HQ. When I walked into the conference room, Shen Yanzhou was already sitting in the chairman's seat. He wore a dark blue suit, face cold and hard. But the anxiety in his eyes was impossible to hide. Wenya didn't show. Word was she'd left benching half a month ago. Disappeared to somewhere no one knows. Once the meeting started, I introduced a motion to re-elect the board. Shen Yanzhou's attorney stood up, trying to block the vote on procedural grounds. But Fang Yuanzhou was ready. He produced 3 judicial interpretations and 2 precedents, systematically dismantling every objection. The vote began. Every single ballot was like a knife cutting into Shenyanzhou. In the end, 73% in favor, 27% against. Shenyanzhou was removed as chairman of the board. The new board consists of 9 members, 5 of them nominated by me, 4 by others. I was elected as the new chairwoman and CEO. Shenyanzhou sat there, his face ashen, like a statue with its soul ripped out. After the meeting adjourned, he walked up to me. Jiang Mushing. His voice was rough as sandpaper. You won. This isn't winning. I said, this is justice. He looked at me, his lips moved, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. He turned and walked out of the conference room. That silhouette would never again carry the pride it once had. Late January. The divorce case went to trial. Fang Yuanzhou, in court, systematically dismantled every single one of Shenyanzhou's claims, and submitted over 300 pages of evidence, proving the core tech was mine. Proving that Shenyanzhou committed gross marital misconduct during the marriage. Proving that multiple clauses in the prenuptial agreement broke the law. Trial lasted 7 days. In the end, the court ruled to grant the divorce. 15% of Xingheng Group's shares were awarded to Jiang Mushing. Shenyanzhou was ordered to pay Jiang Mushing compensation for technology infringement in the amount of 2.73 billion. In 30 days, the property clause was void. All other marital assets were divided according to law. Jiang Mushing received assets valued at approximately 1.2 billion. In total, the property Jiang Mushing obtained exceeded 20 billion. Shenyanzhou did not appeal. Not because he didn't want to, because he knew an appeal would only make him lose even worse. The night the divorce judgment took effect, I drove to the beach alone. Binching winters are brutal. The sea wind cut my face like knives. I stood on the breakwater, staring at the distant water, the black ocean, and the black sky merged into one at the horizon. No boundary in sight. My phone buzzed. It was Pei Yanji. Where are you? The beach. Alone? Yeah. I'm coming to find you. No need. Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Jiang Mushing, he said. You won today. You should celebrate. I didn't win, I said. I just took back what was mine. That's not winning. Damage control. He paused, then said. That caught me off guard. Have you ever wondered why Shenyanzhou lost? Because he underestimated me. No, Pei Yanji said. Because he never really loved you. A man who doesn't love you will never know how powerful you are. The call ended. I stood by the ocean. The wind whipped through my hair. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother, Mu Sheng. Your father's birthday is tomorrow. Come home early. Okay. And? My mother paused, her voice catching. Sweetheart. Your mother is so proud of you. I hung up the phone. I stared at the horizon, and the tears finally fell. Not because I was sad. Because I could finally cry. 6 years of marriage. A $20 billion price tag. Shenyanzhou, with his greed and arrogance, sealed the blueprint of his own downfall. And me? 2 years of planning. 6 months of all-out war. I took back everything that was rightfully mine. Project Xinjiang exploded with growth in February. Tianshu hit mass production. First month, 500K sold. Revenue surpassed 1.2 billion. Our channels expanded from domestic to overseas. Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. Orders poured in like snowflakes. In March, Project Xinjiang closed its 3rd round of fundraising. Valuation broke 50 billion. In April, I landed on the cover of Fortune magazine. The headline read, "She lost her marriage, but won the world." During the interview, the reporter asked me, Ms. Jiang, looking back on the past 6 months, who do you most want to thank? I thought for a moment and said, the person I most want to thank is the woman sitting in the corner at that annual gala, who didn't cry. Why? Because if she had cried then, there would be no me today. After the interview was published, Shenyanzhou sent me a message. Just one line. You've changed. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, no. I just became who I used to be. He never replied. In May, spring arrived in Bincheng. Project Xinqing's HQ opened in Binqing high-tech zone. 38 stories. Glass walls gleamed in the sun, flashing blue like a crystal tower. On ribbon-cutting day, a huge crowd showed up. Investors, partners, media, government officials. My father and mother came too. My mother wore a red qipao and couldn't stop beaming. After the ceremony ended, Pei Yanji walked up to me. Congratulations, President Pei. He looked at me. In his eyes was a softness I had never seen before. Jiang Mushing, there's something I've been wanting to tell you. What? The moment I've been waiting for, he said, it's finally here. I looked at him, and my heart skipped a beat. What do you want to say? I want to say. He paused, as if searching for the right words. I like you. Not as a business partner. Not as a friend. But as a man likes a woman. A breeze blew through, carrying the scent of spring flowers. I looked at him and smiled. Pei Yanji, do you know what the last thing I want to do right now is? What? I don't want to depend on anyone ever again. I know, he said. So I won't let you depend on me. I just want to stand by your side. Like before. As your partner. Your friend. Your... He hesitated. Your backup. I lowered my head. Scissors and red ribbon in hand, still tangled around the blades. Give me some time, I said. I just walked out of a failed marriage. I don't want to rush into another relationship this quickly. I can wait, he said. I've already waited 5 years. I looked up at him. Sunlight fell across his face. Eyes bright like black obsidian. Recall first meeting 5 years ago. Wearing a wrinkled white blouse. Eyes red from crying. Pitching him Xinqing's business plan. Back then, I was 24. Head full of dreams. 5 years later, I'm 29. I've been through betrayal, humiliation, failure. I rose, he stayed near. Exactly where he needed to be. Pei Yanji, I said. Yeah? You've waited 5 years. 1 more year shouldn't be too hard, right? He smiled. Faint, but real. Not hard at all. In the distance, my mom was calling me over for photos. I turned and walked toward her. After 2 steps, I looked back. Pei Yanji was still standing there. Wind and jacket, long sunset shadow. Pei Yanji, I said. Yeah? Thank you. He didn't ask what for. Just nodded at me. Slight curve, not quite a smile. It was more like a promise. That night, I stood alone. On the rooftop of the new headquarters building. City lights glitter below. This city has witnessed my glory and my disgrace. Witnessed my falls and my rises. Witnessed me transform from a wife who depended on a man into an independent woman in control of 20 billion in capital. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Jiang Mushing. This is Wenya. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Not to ask for forgiveness. I just wanted to say that between Yanzhou and me, there's nothing anymore. He lost everything. We all paid the price. For our own choices. I deleted the message. Blocked the number. Wenya's right. Everyone pays the price for their choices. They paid the price. Shen Yanzhou lost Xinheng. He lost his marriage and his standing in the Binqing tech scene. Wenya lost her job and her reputation. She lost everything she schemed so hard to get. And me? I lost a marriage that wasn't worth keeping. And gained a whole new version of myself. This isn't a story about revenge. On that rooftop, I looked up at the stars stretching across the sky. 29. My life is just getting started.